to start with the first question, which is what makes music an integral part of horror? And to be clear, we're not just talking about like what soundtrack do you have on in the background or anything. Like we're talking about what inspires you to make like really like horrifying scenes, or perhaps something you have on the background that can build into the game itself. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Certainly.
But basically, so for you, Peercy, what makes music an integral part of horror? Man, I can't read today.
Yeah. The emotion that it inspires, really, right? Like you're sitting there around a table playing, and the well-placed song. I don't know how many times that I have used typo negative in Vampire, Wraith, many other. I mean, the list goes on, right? All of the horror games. So they have great rock and roll tracks, but they also have these really spacey, terror-driven tracks. And if I don't know if many of you know, Peter Steele used to be in a band called Carnivore. And it was splatter punk horror band. They were amazing, gross and awesome. Yeah, and true, yes.
Yeah.
But they have these fantastic soundscapes to use in the background. And every one of their albums has them, and I found that those have been an invaluable piece because whether someone's dying or they're in a murder scene, like they're trying to kill a big boss, or they're experiencing personal horror. They're going through something that is really like they're losing their humanity for the first time, or something like that, right? Like I found that those tracks really resonate with players and the people playing the game, and makes them think, and it gives more than one sense, more than just they're hearing you describe it. They're also hearing the music.
What about you guys?
Music is if you are a GM or DM or dungeon master or whatever the hell you call it, and you're not using music, you're leaving out the best tool you have. Because the first thing that I think, in the weird way, like everybody here has had a first player that comes in and they're like, my character totally kicks ass and is, comes from my town was killed by raiders and my parents died. And the same thing with horror is like the first thing you realize as a DM is like, oh, I could make this more scary if we were listening to, say, for example, Goblin while this was happening.
Yes.
But then you sort of realize like there's so much you can do with it in terms of setting and mood and just establishment of a scene. So you can, after a while you learn how to just get a Pavlovian response out of your players by hitting certain tracks at certain times. But it always starts with horror. Horror is it's so much easier to use music to ratchet up that tension. And then you start to learn how to use music to do other things like, to sort of calm the players down, how to sort of establish. It's very good about establishing time periods. If you want to throw the players into the 1970s, Steely Dan's Reeling in the Years instantly does it. You want to put them in Vietnam, you play Fortunate Son. Like there's certain tropes that you can just use to put people in immediate space, so you don't have to do as much describing and can kind of get to the story quicker. And
kind of playing off of that, it's also fun with horror and just the creation of tension, which is a huge part of horror in performance specifically, of subverting expectations there, which music is really good for. So something that's been popular recently is having a really innocuous sort of song or music playing at the same time that something wrong is happening. And it really helps to just point up the level of this is not how this should be. If it's only just begun is kind of tinkling away in the background while filleting is happening.
yeah, it's weird. Like you think like the most scary band is always going to be like, I'm going to find Deicide or Slayer. It's the Carpenters. The Carpenters are so friggin' scary.
What about you? You asked the question, but you're actually a panelist, so.
I was just putting something in for you. For me, I like to associate like songs with memories in a game. Like it's not. It doesn't even have to be a scary song. The song doesn't even have to be sad. But I like it when a song gets associated by the players as, hey, this horrifying thing just happened, and now whenever they hear the song, they think of that. In a Cthulhu game that we were in, it was set in the 90s, and they were all high schoolers. So the soundtrack in the background was all like 90s pop and everything. But I chose certain notes for like certain sad songs to then just be like, okay, well, when Cranberry Zombie started playing, that was literally when like one of them faced like their best friend was found dead in the locker room.
Oh, that is awful.
Yeah, and it was just one of those
Great.
things. And then that song came back up again, and I always made sure to try to make sure that's something that reminded them of that person.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to be like Pavlovian. I wasn't trying to make them hate the song by the Cranberries. But I like
didn't
it
say
when a
hate.
song like makes you remember it even after the game.
Yeah.
Like where you just sort of listen and go, hey, remember we were playing that game and it was a really fun one, but this song, yeah, it always makes me sad because my best friend died and we never stopped the killer.
Or
Yeah.
it helps you bring in leitmotif in
Yeah.
in a way that otherwise is almost impossible in a game, of like just bringing in a repetition that's difficult to add into your game otherwise.
Okay, so I have a quick question here before I talk
Or
over
horror,
people.
sorry.
Is it who is familiar with like music theory, like actually analyzing music? Okay, cool. I will kind of try to talk about a mix of things because I come from it from a music theory kind of standpoint. I like to analyze, rock and pop songs and punk songs for fun. But music theory is always played on emotion, and there are actual like chord progressions that actually evoke emotions. One of the things that got me into this was a classical piece. It's called Tears, and it is about the Trail of Tears. And it's written by David Maslanka, and it is it evokes literally that feeling, that tightness in your chest right before you cry, and it never resolves that through the whole piece, because if you know the history, the Trail of Tears has never actually been resolved, and there is still family trauma going on from that. And so that kind of got me into like evoking emotion with, music, and how do we use that. If you've ever, there is one video on YouTube of that song. I highly suggest everyone listen to it at some point. But yeah, music can evoke a lot, even like modern day music, especially modern day music. There are some brilliant songwriters out there that are making modern pop, rock, metal, punk, ska, music out there that evoke the same emotions as classical music. And anyone that says otherwise doesn't understand music.
Absolutely correct.
Okay, so when should you use music and when should you leave it out? What do you think? Who wants to start?
I'll go first. So it's always tricky because there are times, I know I just talked about like my successes with like using music in games, but then there are times when it's just fallen flat or it's gotten distracting because what sounds great to me at 2 a.m. the night before the game probably doesn't play well like day of. Like I really love the band Perturbator, who they do a lot of like I don't know how to describe it, like industrial synthwave, but it's in the model of 1980s movie themes, like Terminator, Hellraiser, songs like that. And even the titles are very provocative, like The Humans Are Dead, I think is one of them.
It was a them or Carpenter Brute that's she's young, she's beautiful, and she's next.
Yeah, that's it. And it's really good.
Nice.
Title.
Yeah.
The soundtrack's actually really good, and it really evokes a sense of horror. But I tried to use it in a vampire game. But one, the music's very fast. It's very like it's not like speed metal or anything, but it's very aggressive. It gets your heart pumping.
Yeah.
It's a chase.
Yeah.
But it overrode the moments we were trying to go for. Because there's
For a
sometimes
vampire game, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there were some moments in the game where the players were like, "Oh, we were just chatting and getting like sorting out what we were doing with our ghouls." I think is what they were doing. That didn't require a heavy metal soundtrack, and you really have to judge like the tempo and what the players are expecting versus what they're actually doing. Because sometimes songs will fall flat, and I wouldn't say that I'm perfect at getting it right every time, but if it happens to you, then you didn't fail. It's just you tried something, it didn't work out, and you know.
It's a happy accident.
Yeah.
I think think about scoring your games, right? And what beats you're trying to hit, and where to actually not have music. What's going to be most impactful? Because that's actually where you shouldn't play anything if you really want to hit home. Especially if you have been playing music through the whole thing or have been setting it up with certain songs, a certain feel, a certain style, and then something happens or you have a scene or there's a moment that's supposed to be truly horrific, just silence and be very intimate with that player in that moment. That's going to do it, because the music comes back on. It's like, oh, okay. And now when they hear that music, they're carrying forward that idea of the emotion that just happened or the true power of that moment. You didn't play a song during that moment, but the next track they're going to hear, they will remember that moment.
What about you guys?
I find it more on a functional level, just for my own attention span. It can be, I don't have it as much a part of my gaming process to sort of smoothly DJ the whole thing, but I will have certain themes and certain tracks picked out for. It's often like moving the plot or like doing a shift. It's really good for like, okay, we've just finished this and maybe it is in that moment of quiet and now here's a turn that is sort of announced and contextualized by what I choose to play at that point. But yeah, otherwise, if it is going to be jarring, again, since it's not a constant throughout the game for me, then yeah, some silence can help make the next track that much more impactful.
I almost never. I think
No, it's true.
I'm never
It's the opposite
silent.
opinion.
Yeah, I've been running games for, like I said, 40 years, and since I started using music, I like the lapses in music that I've had that I can think of off the top of my head are like maybe 5, and every time that I've done that, it's because I have a different sound that I'm playing instead. So my players have gotten so used to the music that if I'm not playing it, there's something else that they're looking for. For example, there was one where I didn't have music, but I was just playing the sound of a baby crying.
Yeah.
And that was something else that was in the background that was obviously very upsetting, or the sound of breathing. But I always have some kind of a soundtrack going on. So yeah, I've never really not used it, but
But having played in your games,
I'm very on the fly with like what is going on.
You're very good at having tracks that don't interrupt.
Right.
And keeping it going but not interrupting, because that's not as much a part of my process. That's why I'll go for silence rather than having something that's like jarring or distracting.
Typically, my system is I will use. Wow, I'm really opening the kimono here. I will use I use whatever is contemporary music for, like, the sort of thing where like people are having conversations,
Mm-hmm.
right? It'll be like the sort of thing that would be on the radio in that time period. I tend to run a lot of games that are set in the 80s and 90s, so I use a lot of that. But even if it was now, it would be something that would be on the radio now that would be sort of regular, so that like the sort of stuff that you would hear like at a Target that kind of can blend into the background, and then like movie soundtracks and stuff like synthwave and scores and things like that. And classical comes in when things start to get traumatic or scary, or something like Carpenter Brute or Perturbator when there's a chase. The lyrics drop out when the action comes up. That's something I've made a point of.
Or things where the lyrics don't matter as much, right? And that's
Right.
you're getting into the ambient sounds and things like that. But I also run a lot of fantasy, and fantasy is it can be as horrifying as you want it to be, right? Love doing things like horde of orcs come over the hill to murder you all in bandits. You're like, all right, we're gonna fight the bandits. Now, when that happens, play Heilung while you're doing that. And all of a sudden your players are going, oh God, we're going to die.
I think one of the things I do is I know that like auditory processing can be a thing for people where like background music and stuff is really, really annoying. Mm-hmm. So there are times where I just won't have any music, but there's also like, I will pick one song that is just instrumental only and it's pretty chill or whatever, and I will just have that loop in the background. And then the players will then get used to it, you will get used to it, and then you can do things like dramatic shifts, such as a tension song for like your big bad or your monster of the week. If you've ever seen the viral clip, and I do not know which actual play it was, but they described like this torso in the middle of the floor, and then all of a sudden the music shifts into like Latin chanting, and when the players is like, nope. That type of shift can absolutely like skyrocket the attention of everybody. And then everybody, you know, like even those with auditory processing, that type of shift can actually help them focus. It could also throw them really off, so you really have to know your players if you're going to do something like that. But you know, being sensitive to people's, acceptance of music, you know, like the repetitive thing can get to be where it's just background noise. Mm-hmm. And now nobody pays attention to it. And that's okay because they're talking, they're doing other things, they're not fighting.
You can use...
I was about to say, jumping off of that, something that can be really kind of helpful like that is finding covers of songs that are instrumental. Yep. So again, you can kind of introduce it, and it's very background until the song itself.
It's a dirty
out.
trick.
Yeah, I learned it from you. Yeah.
Lo-fi music is great for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The
or
lo-fi, and then all of a sudden, or even just like metal cover of this song. Like, oh God.
I forget the technique. Is it the shastic? No, the stochastic. The one with the strings that always sound like they're going up, but they're not. I cannot. Thank you. Yes, I couldn't remember the name. Dear God.
It always sounds like it's going up and down at the same time, but
yes.
It never actually gets there.
Tension.
Yep.
You want to build tension, perfect thing to use. And it could just be very lightly on in the background, right? Mm. Or consider like, is the song you're using chromatic? Is it like in chromatics, right? Like going up by half tones, major, minor chords. What are you trying to establish in the moment, right? Why are you playing this? You should really... That is something you definitely have to think about. I think we've gone beyond the question at this point.
I mean, it doesn't matter if we go beyond the question because we're having a big conversation.
Wonderful.
Here, so.
Great.
Yeah,
well, we're going to get off topic all the time.
I mean, that's fine. Okay, so I actually then kind of want to jump off of that because we have been talking about music theory and stuff like that. And a lot of you guys raised your hand that you understood it, but some of you did not. Is there any resources for music theory that you would give to somebody that is kind of interested in like finding out about that, or about like even just getting a cursory knowledge of what in the world we're talking about?
Yeah, if it still exists, I believe it's musictheory.net, and it's excellent. It'll go through the very basics for you. Give you here's the circle of fifths, and many of you are like, those who know music theory, oh, I know what that is. Those who don't are like, what the hell are you talking about? It essentially shows you how to establish your hierarchy of chord progressions, right? Then beyond that, your modes, right, which are, I'm in a sea of keys, so no sharps, no flats. But we're starting on D instead of C as the first note and going back to D, right? So your various really basic, it doesn't sound basic maybe to some people, but it is very basic once you look at it. Musictheory.net. Go there, it will help you greatly if you want to know anything about it.
Yeah. Do you guys have any resources?
I'm going to be looking up musictheory.net.
I used to be a music theory TA also. So,
yeah.
I do. There are. Sometimes I'll go less through the theory itself and more into the history of it, and like progressions of things, because it says also when you're setting a like time period scene, like yes, there are the songs that everybody knows from those periods, but where did those come from? And are there, you know, other lesser known tracks? Like, are there, like, digging in the crates is more, since I'm not a theorist, that's often the direction that I approach that from. And there are some YouTube channels that I'm not remembering the names of, but I can look up and add to the
TikTok too.
Yes,
There's
yes.
TikTok.
Yeah.
There's actually a really good.
The New British Canon. That's
a
one.
good one. That's
yeah,
a good one.
New British Canon is one that I go to a lot.
There's another one that is a Music is Magic. That is a YouTube thing you can go watch. It's very simple, but it you know, it essentially is in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because music, like you were saying earlier, you play certain tones or certain combinations of chords and notes that make you feel a certain way, and that's how the human brain, most of them, not all of us, right, work. And this little, I think it's like a 10-minute video, is a perfect little intro video for anybody curious about music theory.
So I'm probably one that's got like the most like random one here. So I am kind of a sucker for like, you know, first reactions, and actually I really like the charismatic voice.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah.
There's so
Fantastic.
much fun.
Because even when I don't understand like the technical terms that she's using, the way that she'll then say the technical term, then she'll be like, that's when the music does this. And I'll be like, oh, okay, so now I'm understanding it more. And her just enthusiasm is infectious. So I'm a big Iron Maiden fan, so when she did the In Vivo concert that they did, and the fact that she got so excited, and she was like, it's getting really quiet. It feels like it's going to kick off. And then you watch her just get so excited when it does kick off. And I learned a lot, just not enough to consider myself proficient in it, but I really liked her style of, hey, here's the technical terms. And then it's like, hey, if you didn't understand technical terms, here's what I actually meant. And that helped me later on just with the rest of it.
As a past vocalist, I mean, I still am a vocalist, but I don't do what I used to do. And someone who did give vocal lessons as well, she's amazing. And yeah, I agree. Does a great job of explaining what the technique is. Going back, she's like, oh, listen to that glottal stuff, that right? Like,
Yeah.
all those weird little things that you don't, yeah, she's great. That's great. That's a great one. Seriously.
Another recommendation that I would have, and then this is a relatability thing, is think about some of the movies that you enjoy the soundtracks for, and then look up the composer, because generally it's going to be Howard Shore, Danny Elfman, or John Williams.
Hans Zimmer.
Or Hans Zimmer, too. And
Michael
then
Giacchino, if it's from the past 5 years.
Oh yeah, that's true too. But you know, there are a whole bunch of other amazing composers out there and stuff like that, like Hayao Miyazaki's, you know, composer. He has the same one. I forget.
Oh, Wendy Carlos.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so, a lot of times, like if you look at the documentaries for some of those movies, they will actually interview the composer and the performers, and you can kind of get an insight into some of that stuff as well.
Well, and to know things,
Yeah.
to know things like, you know, John Williams is a name that came up because he's everywhere, right? Everyone knows him.
Yeah.
The Star Wars themes, everyone knows those themes, right? That's all based off of whole planets, right? So you really get to see where even these composers for these amazing movies that we all love, or don't, whatever, come from and get their influence from. And to add to that list as well, Wojciech Kilar. If you don't know who that is, you should know who that is, especially if you were here for soundtrack of horror. He was the composer. He used to be the provost composer for Poland in like the 90s. And
like that,
I'm not sure if he's around anymore, actually. But he did the Ninth Gate, that last like Polanski film.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did the music for that, which would think, oh, that's horrible. No, there's some terrifying stuff in there. He also did the soundtrack for Bram Stoker's Dracula and many other things. Check him out as a composer. Fantastic music. You will find inspiration there.
Anybody that tells you that classical music is boring hasn't actually deep dove into it. We are also really big nerds, so. Okay, so moving off of that then, since we have brought up a whole bunch of stuff, I'm gonna say what genres of music work well for different genres of horror. And which ones would you like to see more of, or like some that you've seen that hasn't worked? Because I can give you a couple. I'll give a recent example. It's not actually a horror movie per se. However, the soundtrack is actually the reason why the show did not work, and that is the newest Willow. If any of you had ever watched the newest Willow and was like, this just feels wrong, something is off, it's the soundtrack. The soundtrack does not have the right beats to it because they have music going the whole time. And it's all upbeat music the whole time. So when all of the really big amplified stuff gets there, you're like, I'm so desensitized to everything. There's no wow moment. It took me a second watch through to figure out why in the world I was like, why is this just not hitting for me? And it's the soundtrack for me. So
it's not exactly horror, but a little bit. But so movie from the 80s, Lady Hawk.
Oh yeah.
Incredible movie. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. I feel would be a much better known movie and like higher in the sort of fantasy canon if the soundtrack had like dovetailed better with the movie. Like if they had a queen working with them as like with Highlander, or just something that played better with the medieval setting. It was too synthy and too
Tangerine
mushy.
Dream.
It was Tangerine Dream, who I love.
Yeah,
But
it
they were the
wasn't working
wrong
there.
band
No, it
for
should have been Queen.
for that movie.
God,
Either something with some bombast to go with like the romantic
Queen.
themes of it,
Queen or Bowie.
or
Yeah.
I don't even think
Yeah.
Bowie would have worked with that, or something that was like more grounded in the medieval setting.
Yeah.
I think would have
Safety
worked better.
dance.
I'll kill you.
we got a train coming
They
through,
did
by
the
the
video
way.
at a Ren Fair.
It's okay. It happens. Yeah, we're gonna shake. Yeah. I think what works well. What genre works well with the genre?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
just
if you
talking
give us
about
an example of
discussing
a-
genres and
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Give an example of a genre, and I can give a
Splatterpunk.
yeah. Oh,
Splatterpunk.
Splatterpunk.
Yeah.
That's where you're using. That's where you're using Perturbator. That's where you're using Carpenter Brute. Anything that's slasher based, you want to go heavy into the synth wave because that's where it comes from. Don't be afraid to also go back and check out some like disco. Weirdly enough, because like the
That was
whole
the evolution.
slasher genre came from the Video Nasties, which came from the late '70s, and that was disco. So there is a weird progression from one to the next that'll give you like a sense of that time and place. But the reason that Carpenter Brute stuff is so like intense and is because it's about the chase. It is, the girl running with one shoe through the woods with some sort of, chainsaw murderer after her. That is what that's for.
I mean,
Yeah.
good.
Right.
I kind of like bluegrass, depending on what kind of game I'm doing. Bluegrass or old school blues. Mainly because a lot of the stories, obviously, when we think of blues, some people think, oh, it's sad music. But sometimes it's stories. It's a story that gets you sad. It takes you there. And some of these stories, like, they get genuinely dark, but in like a sad, solemn way.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" soundtrack. And not just because of "Oh Death," but "Oh Death" was done really well.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that it's upbeat and like there's sections of it when it's like, oh, this is in the jailhouse now.
When
Like
the sirens are,
Yeah.
The
Like that's-
sinister aspect of the siren.
yeah, really good.
Yeah,
really good.
that was a really good part of it because that is kind of like, hey, they're just singing a song and it's getting
A
more
gospel.
sultry and deeper as they sing it. And when you watch the movie, they're luring men into a trap. It's just music like that where it's very, it's like it's uncomplicated, but at the same time, it's still very sophisticated. And also just like a lot of these like performers, they're singing not just about like why they're sad, but it's about, hey, my brother died. He was murdered by the sheriff. The sheriff got away with it. I'm going to go kill him. So, and that really gets you in the mood when you're running a horror game of, hey, so something bad happened. You're about to do a bad thing.
One of the most recent horror movies that have come out that actually has a amazing music history plotline through it, if you analyze it from that, is Sinners. If you haven't seen Sinners, you need to go see it.
You need to go see it.
If you have seen it, you need to go see it again. But you need to watch it from a lens perspective of the music itself, not just the plot. Because the music itself also tells a story, and it tells a very different cultural story than what's going on. And it is glorious, and there is so many deep dives out there on Sinners and the music specifically, and why specific songs were chosen for that movie. Both from the Irish perspective, but also the Black American experience, as well as some like Native stuff in there too. Like it's amazing. And so, like, if you really, really want to kind of start looking at movies from a music perspective, that's actually a great one, because it just came out. It, I think, is now on streaming.
Yeah.
On Max.
It is. Yeah.
So,
it is.
And then also the deep dives are out there all over TikTok, all over YouTube, all over like any platform you can find it on. Definitely go check it out.
Yeah.
So there's actually a scene in that movie where they're singing Wild Mountain Thyme, which is kind of one of the songs I think everybody's kind of heard if you didn't know what the name of it was. But the way that it was framed, where, I'm going to give you a minor spoiler, movie's about vampires. In case you didn't know. But there's a scene where 3 of the vampires are trying to seduce someone. And they're singing that song, and they're singing it in a very loving and tender way. But as they sing the song, their eyes start to glow. And you just see that they're starting to reveal, like, and the leader starts drooling. And not just like a little bit of slobber, it's like a dog drooling out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And they use a song that's all about, it's very sad, but it's also like, hey, you want to go with me one last time? You want to go with me out into the fields? And we'll reminisce about old times. But they're looking at someone like they're going to eat them.
And it's also a stolen song too, so
Yeah.
which makes it even an even deeper commentary on all of that.
Mhm.
All right, I'm gonna open this up to questions now. If anyone has questions, then we're gonna vamp on a whole bunch of stuff. So, all right.
I just wanted to pepper in on that conversation, Smithsonian Folkways recordings.
Oh, those
Yes.
are so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
That's a really good one.
absolutely.
And I do have a question, sorry.
Yes.
Playback. So like I've struggled with Spotify, I've even gone into Pro Tools, I've made my own scores, but it's never nothing. I was wondering if you all had utilities that were your favorites for that.
Gotcha.
Yes. I used to make CDs, right? But I
By hand.
yeah. Hammer to the
In the mines.
No, I used to make CDs when that was a technology. Now I just put playlists together in my own players, right? I don't use Spotify. I don't try to do that. I've stopped using YouTube because YouTube ads, like anything that breaks the immersion, I stopped using it after that time. So I would actually suggest to get a good player and just use that player. Find the track somewhere. I was a DJ for a very long time, so I have a ridiculous list of music, but pay the artists. Don't go
Yes,
pirate them.
please.
Pay the musicians. Buy that track if you really want that track. Put it on your own playlist. Another really good program to use if anyone is savvy with DJ equipment, and it's something you can set up to just run the whole time, is Tractor. There's a program called Tractor out there. It's by a Native Instruments program, and you can set up however much of a song you want to play. It can repeat at certain times, and you can put different tracks in there. If you want an entire scoring method, it can do it for you. You have to do a little learning, right? Go watch some tutorials on it, but Tractor is an excellent program to use if you really get really deep.
What's the spell? Is that tractor just like the truck?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Like the thing you know.
I just use Spotify. Like, the composition program that I used to use no longer is compatible with my
Which-
computer.
Which one?
Uh,
Sibelius?
What was it?
Sibelius?
No, it was something I used in college.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
so it is outdated. So I wouldn't recommend it at all. For editing though, I use Audacity. Like, so.
I was able to.
I am not great at technology, so I either use just like iTunes or I still have a bunch of CDs. So especially when I go and visit, like if I see a band in concert and they sell CDs, I usually buy them. But But yeah, for people who I guess are just like not very tech savvy like me, I still buy music on iTunes. Like,
Yeah.
I still have like Apple Plus, but also it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I really want to own the song and keep it in my car, and because I drive a lot, reception's a thing. And then whenever I have it queued up, I always have a little note card that I write down what the time is. So I'm always like, oh, I want to play this moment of the song. Let's advance it to this moment.
Yeah, I do the same thing. iTunes, like, yeah, I know it's not perfect, but it's gonna be there next year, so I'm glad. Like, it's there. It's fine. I don't need to worry about it. It's not perfect. It's not the worst. It's just there, and that's the main thing I need. I have the same. I have playlists that I have curated over the course of the past 20 odd years that are like, this is the scary one. This is the you're just hanging out one. This is the you're poking around looking for clues one. This is the, and so I can go in and specifically be like, okay, we're looking for clues. The year is 1984. We're in the American Southwest. Or we're looking for clues. The year is 1921 and we're in England. And I can grab what I need from but I go for specific, I don't want to say scenes, but specific things like, like feel.
I'm also pretty basic. I have been using Spotify. I think that I finally hit the last straw with them, so I'm moving to, I guess, Apple Music. But it also, I find it becoming a part during development, since we've now been making games together for a while. Like, the playlist starts getting built while we're writing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I run that game, I will pull from that playlist for the specific scenario that I'm choosing for this game. But I've already got like a library ready to go.
There are also tricks, you can use if you want to go really old school. Just use a record, because when that needle drops, if you do that at the right time or utilize that in the right way, that needle dropping and that analog sound coming, like the scratch and the sound. That sets a stage, right? Exactly.
As Magnus Arcus has taught us.
Right.
Click.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Exactly. That was exactly.
If you could get a Victrola, that little
That would be amazing. Oh my God, yes.
at the end of it is.
So you can also go out and just find tracks that are just those sounds too, right? We live in the digital age.
Yeah.
Those things are
The
expensive.
National Archives also has sounds that you
Absolutely.
can use that are free and fair use too. All right, next question. Ooh, there's a lot of them now. We'll go over here.
Thank you for setting up this panel. This is not my wheelhouse at all. My 13-year-old daughter is a burgeoning writer, and she was hoping it was a writer's panel and asked me would I sit in today because she's in school. And
Oh, that's so awesome.
I'm a teacher too, so
We homeschool. I left them home on purpose. She would like to know if you had one piece of advice for a burgeoning writer of fiction in embedding music within your writing so that the reader hears it, what would that be?
Don't assume everybody has heard of the song. So there's like deep cuts. I've used deep cuts, and I've also used like very common music. And there have been times when people are like, "Oh, I've not heard this song, and it's been on the radio for like 10 years." So when you work the music into your writing, be prepared to just put like some kind of deep cut into what the song is. Like, you can't just say like, it's "Fortunate Son" by Creedence. Like, I know a lot of us have heard of it, but there might be people who haven't.
Cover it.
So you can't just say, oh, it's like this song from the 70s associated with the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Try to include something about it that's like the music, what it's singing about, what the tempo is. Because there also just might be people who they've heard it before, but they don't remember. And then when you mention those facts, it goes, oh yeah, the song from like every Vietnam movie, it's in Forrest Gump. And that will help provide the context for it.
Yeah. Describe, as a writer, you have the gift and the ability to describe things to people in ways that they wouldn't normally think about, right? So when you're hearing music, not just, oh, this makes me feel this way, whatever. No, describe the thunder of the drums, or describe the brashness of the guitar or the voice, right? Come up with ways to make it more visceral when you're describing it.
Yeah. Like, how do you describe a color?
Yeah.
Don't just use that color. Describe the color.
Yeah, how do you describe the sound, right? Yeah.
It's just so green.
That's one
It's
where
Cretans.
I would say also use other senses other than hearing.
Yeah.
So like music has a beat, and you can describe that as like a pulse, right? That's the pulse of what you're feeling, or that's like your foot just taps to it. You know, talk about like when you listen to that song, it's, you know, every time that you have lunch with your mom, and so it evokes that feeling of like tasting that food and stuff like that. Like there are other ways for you to describe the music other than just the lyrics and listening to the author.
You know, the smell of the cigarette or the taste
The
of
smell of the
alcohol,
cigarette,
whatever, right, you know,
or
like,
you know,
Yeah.
like you once saw them perform live and you had a drink spilled on you during
Right.
that song, and so now every time, granted, if they're underage, please don't, but you know, like you know, every time I think of that song, now I smell like vodka.
now I smell like Kool-Aid.
The smell of wine and cheap perfume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
I've seen tempo terminology used to pretty great effect in writing, like in a place where you're trying to indicate like what the speed of it is. That's what it's for music, and that can be really helpful when you're setting a scene in writing.
Absolutely. Thank you for that question.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello. You talked a lot about more modern games, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
What do you suggest for more historical games, whether it's ancient Egypt, Renaissance, classic, medieval, for incorporating and balancing modern music and very based in historical music?
So, I'm going to offer another heretical comment on this one. Have you ever seen the movie A Knight's Tale?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So good.
So a lot of people, when they watch the trailer, they go, "Oh, they're playing Queen," and it's like, "Oh yeah, that's just what they're doing." But then the director said, "No, I picked songs that a modern audience would know. The modern audience would definitely be like, hey, this is the feelings associated with it," and I used that to tie the scenes together. And so when you pick music, sometimes it's okay to just pick a modern song, just have in the background, because remember, you're trying to evoke the feeling from the players. Like, you know, you don't have to worry about like whether like if it's a movie and like if a million people are going to see it. You just need to make sure that the song hits those beats. And obviously, if you play something like the safety dance when you're trying to describe ancient Egypt, that might not fit. But if you're
it's ancient England.
yeah. But if you pick something that's kind of like I mean, we've all seen the 1999 Mummy movie. If you pick the theme from that, yeah, people are going to go, well, of course you picked that one. But it's like, yeah, but that works.
And lo-fi is a savior there too, because there's a bunch of sort of medieval versions.
Yeah, there's
a lot of
Bardcore
you know.
is something that you can look up, and you'll find and that's a secret weapon. Another weapon that I'm going to give every single one of you for any horror game is there is a collection online called Rockabye Baby, and it is like children's like infants lullaby covers of rock songs, including stuff like, if you really want your players to shit their entire heart, stuff like Radiohead.
Oh yeah.
It is incredibly disturbing.
But another good one for stuff like that is just ambient. More ambient things like sort of tavern backgrounds, or like forest backgrounds or stuff like that. Less directly horror, but like that's something that's a good scene setter for something that's not directly in a modern society. That then you can shift to whatever music you want to use to ramp into your action.
So in a recent game that I did, and again, it's a question of how seriously you want to take it. But there was something where I wanted to play up how jarring it was that the players had gone. It was a vampire game, and they were dealing with the Setites, and they had found themselves in ancient Egypt. So I hit them with the bangles. When they're like, you know, they'll walk like an Egyptian by the bangles. And the fact that it's technically about Egypt, but it's also clearly not. But it's so superficially about the thing and so utterly not appropriate to the time and place that it was kind of a fun thing to set them there. And you can subvert expectations using music that way.
There's also a slow version of that song, which I feel really works for a horror setting.
I was looking for one. There is a slow version?
I heard it on YouTube somewhere.
I gotta find that.
All right,
God.
we have 5 minutes into the next panel. I do want to respect the next panel's time. So here's what I'd like for everyone to do. If you have one of the tickets, could you please bring it up here and just put it at this table right over here?